Okay, so I have another topic I wanted to talk about, another perspective I wanted to provide. Um, I don't know exactly what I'll title this one. I guess what it relates to is like the different reasons why people are hidden or not seen as who they are right away, right? Sometimes it's a misunderstanding where you could just misjudge someone by how they may appear, by misunderstanding their body language, or you it's okay. Humans sometimes can assume just, you know, for their own awareness, they may assume a little bit like, okay, this person is a little nervous. How does that make me feel? That. I feel like that's normal to make general assumptions as long as you don't take it too far. Like, as long as you don't be like, like you assume someone may or may not be a certain way, that should just be, that shouldn't even last that long, right? Like, if you make a general assumption like, oh, that person standing over there looks a little suspicious, okay, but if they're just not bothering anyone or whatever, you can just acknowledge that they may just seem suspicious to you and just keep it moving, right? You don't necessarily have to engage or act on it if they're not doing anything to anybody, if they're just to themselves or whatever, right? So sometimes we make general assumptions, um, based off of just things that we don't understand, right? And that's okay from time to time, as long as you know not to go overboard. But anyway, this topic is about like different reasons people are either like hidden or not who they appear to be right away, right? So one of the more common reasons, right, why a person is not coming off as like all the way who they are or not putting their whole business out in the open, right? One of the more common reasons is because they actually have something negative to hide, right? But it is usually the first assumption we go to when it comes to us dealing with people that we feel may have an ulterior motive for either why they're around, what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. We assume it's something negative. Now, commonly, it can be negative. You know what I'm saying? So, for like survival, reasons, it's understandable why someone would initially assume something negative about somebody they feel like they don't truly know, right? But it's best to not act on it until you actually, you know, and if you feel like it's so serious, then remove yourself from the scenario, remove yourself from the individuals. You don't have to engage in an extreme way. If you have a feeling that something doesn't feel right, I'm not saying don't listen to your intuition, but there's just better ways of going about it than to engage in a way that could potentially, like, screw you over. But anyway, so one of the common reasons why people are not like seen as who they are right away, like if they have like an ulterior motive, yes, one of the reasons could be because their ulterior motive is negative. Now, another reason could be that their ulterior motive could actually be positive. See, maybe you don't know somebody that well, or maybe you feel like this person's hiding something. Oh, this person's not who they seem. That's not always for negative reasons. People are allowed to be private at the end of the day. And some people don't show everything about them because you shouldn't feel like you have to show. When you're getting to know people, right, you should always be yourself, but sometimes you can't give too much away about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody's going to respond the same way. And if you're someone that has a high EQ, like, you can kind of like read the room. You know what I'm saying? You know who to tell your personal business to versus who not to, right? And that's something that you only grow to learn over time and experience. You know what I mean? Like, I know I've had my fair share of dealing with people that I had to later on realize were not, yeah, I can't keep doing that. Like, that's not, that ain't it, right? So there's lessons to learn. And then as you learn and you grow, you just understand more and more how to better discern people. Um, but anyway, that is the other reason why, you know, a person might not share all about themselves and all that, because maybe they've dealt with past issues of hurt and betrayal. Maybe they thought they could trust certain people before and it just didn't work out that way. So now they have to be more discerning. You know what I mean? And some people could be really awesome when you actually get to know who they truly are. And they may just not want to share that with everybody for the time being, because some people are weird. Some people are weirdos. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't be paranoid about how you live your life, but you know, some people you just shouldn't be sharing everything about yourself with. It can be, you know, it's just not safe in some ways. You got to be careful. Now, another reason why some people stay hidden, from my perspective, is for like logical reasons that make sense. Like for instance, if you're like a private investigator, right? That's literally your job. You're hired to be low key. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're like in the witness protection program, obviously you don't want everything about you to be out in the open, right? So there's different reasons why people are more reserved about who they are in the general public. It's not always negative. It's quick to assume that it's negative, but it's not always negative. And people should be discerning and really ask critical questions when it comes to camera shaking. When it comes to, you know, things they don't know everything about, or even people they don't know everything about. The best thing to do would just be at least to mind your business. If it's nothing serious or nothing crazy, you know, it's okay to make an initial assumption when you're trying to like be aware of your surroundings and stuff, but like don't act on certain generalized feelings, emotions, because that could just be your own nervous system fucking you up, by the way. You know, there's a lot of people, ask anyone that has gotten out of survival mode mentally. They'll tell you it's a jungle in there sometimes in your own head. So, you know, just be mindful and stay aware. That's all I got.